All right, guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and today we are going to be talking about data logging. I'm going to take you guys along with me as I go through and review logs that I've run to see how my car is doing, or review logs that you guys have sent me to help you diagnose issues. And there are a lot of great reasons that you would want to have this skill. Understanding what you see in data logs will help you make sure that your car is running safe, that nothing needs to be changed, and you can just kind of monitor things over time to make sure your car and engine is healthy. And so this is something that I've been doing for a while now, and I know a lot of you guys have asked me for an updated guide since I made one several years ago. Really, it's not outdated, but you know, it's a good thing just to make another video about it. I think a lot of you guys were interested in that. So we'll go ahead and talk about that in this video, and hopefully you guys find it useful. Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe because there will be a lot more coming out in the future. Now, the way you run a log is pretty simple. What you're going to do is go into the tuning app that you're using, connect to your car with your eNet wireless adapter, and go over to the logging section. And then you hit start log, drive your car, and then hit stop log. And after you do that, the car is going to collect all of the data that you've run and have a file ready for you to review. Now, if you want to share this log with me, definitely, you can send me a message on Instagram or send me an email. All of my contact information is down in the video description. Just keep in mind, I get a lot of emails. It takes me a while to review logs sometimes, so please be patient. If you really need help, like super high priority, feel free to join my Patreon. That's the easiest way to get in contact with me. And I really stay on top of messages over there and on our Discord, so I can help you guys if you need like something really right now. But otherwise, at any point, you guys can send me a logs and I will try to get to it as soon as possible. So the easiest way to share logs with me is basically to send me a link to the log so that I can review the data. It's going to come in a CSV file, but that's not really easy for me to review. So either A, if you guys are on boot mode, it should create a link. They have a really cool cloud setup where all of the logs are instantly uploaded to the cloud, and you can share the link from your log directly to me, and I can view it in the boot mode log viewer. If you don't have boot mode, if you're like me and you have MHD or maybe, Ecutech or something like that, then what you'll want to do is go to datazap.me, create an account, and upload that CSV file to the Datazap website. And that will create a window where I can view the logs in there, and you can send that link to me as well. So don't just send me the CSV file. I'm not going to be able to view it. Upload it to Datazap and send it to me, and then I'll be able to review it from there. So now let's go ahead and hop over and look at some logs that I have, again, just to show you how I review logs and some of the things that I've found in logs that you guys have sent me to help you figure out issues with your car. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this log first. This is actually a log from my 440i. This was after I installed my TU high pressure fuel pump back in 2019. And I had installed it on my car because I'm an idiot and decided to be a guinea pig with my fuel system and see if swapping out parts on my car would work, because I felt like the new high pressure fuel pump should work with the stock fuel system. A bunch of people said it needed to be tuned, it needed coating, things like that. So I decided to be the guinea pig and just buy it and install it on my car. So first thing I did was run a stock tune, run some logs, and see how things went. Now you can see there weren't really a lot of logging parameters available back then. Over time, our logging tools got a lot better. So that's why you can see a lot more options down here nowadays. But let's go ahead and see on our accelerator pedal, I floored it through the rev range. And so usually what I do first is just kind of filter that out by dragging and locking that in. So I'm only looking at the data I'm interested in when I was full throttle. And then we'll hide that and we'll open up our RPM. Let's see, it is engine speed on boot mode. And so you can see I started around 2,800 RPM and floored it all the way up to 6,900 RPM. So pretty much a full pull. Now, first thing we want to look at is boost. So open up our boost and boost target. You can see boost goes over target a little bit. Boost target down low is around 9 PSI, and I hit a little over 10, but it equalized in the mid-range and then kind of stabilized towards red line. So that's pretty typical, on stock tune and a lot of off-the-shelf maps. Boost control is pretty good, but not perfect, and there might be a little bit of overshoot like this. And you can see what happens if you open up throttle angle. You'll see throttle closed right here. So throttle is at 98%, pretty much wide open. Then when boost goes over target, it drops to 62, 60%. And then as boost equalizes, it gets back up to 98%, which is pretty much full throttle. So all of that's pretty normal, nothing to lose sleep over. Hide all of that. Now let's look at our fuel. So what I like to do is look at high pressure fuel pump target and actual. Some tunes call it rail pressure target and actual. If you have a Gen 1, it should be around 28 to 2900 PSI. If you have a Gen 2, it should be just over 5000 PSI. And we're again just going to look at that throughout the rev range to see if anything changes. You can see it's pretty much dead on the money all the way down. It's going to vary a little bit, but plus or minus 100 PSI I would say is okay. But in this case, fuel pressure held fine. So that to me told me that the high pressure fuel pump was working and doing exactly what it should. Now, the last thing we're going to look at is timing. And keep in mind, again, this is on a completely stock tune, OEM tune from BMW. We did not have timing correction parameters at the time, and really you don't have to have it. It's nice to have it to understand an overall timing correction, but you can see here, timing is around 7 degrees down low, and it's going to go up as you get towards red line. You can see it's staying pretty consistent. Oops, I forgot cylinder 6. There we go. But then right here, you can see timing on cylinder 1 drop. So everything else is at 12 degrees. Cylinder 1 dropped to 9 degrees. So in that case, I would say there was a timing correction just because you can see the deviation between cylinders. So we basically had 3 degrees of timing correction on cylinder 1. Not the end of the world, not ideal, but definitely something that can happen when you're running pump gas and just regular fuel. But the crazy thing, really what I want to highlight, is just how high timing went, up to 17.5 degrees. So this is, again, on a completely stock tune, no ethanol, just 93 octane pump gas. But the reason why we're seeing this is because boost is so low. So again, if we look at boost, while it's at 17.5 degrees of timing, we're seeing that boost is only 8.7 PSI. And just the thing to keep in mind here is boost and timing are a balance. So as boost goes up, for everything else being the same, timing goes down. As boost goes down, then you can get more timing. And because boost is so low, IATs are really stable. You can see on here, my IAT went from 50 degrees Fahrenheit to 52 degrees Fahrenheit for an entire pull. It actually dropped to 48 for an extended period of time during the pull. So temperatures were completely flat. Boost was really low, so timing could be really high. And this is something that you'll experience on any tune. As boost gets too high, then typically you'll have to pull timing back in order to compensate, and really you need to find that balance of where the car makes the most power as you're pushing it. But yeah, again, this is a completely stock tune making 17.5. I think I've even seen 18 degrees of timing on a log on the stock tune. So something I definitely recommend if you don't have any kind of baseline to understand yet. Try logging your stock tune and just see what it does stock. It can definitely be very telling. Now, next we're going to look at another one of my logs, and this one is a log that I ran at the end of last year, and I was having an issue because my car was stuttering a little bit. It only happened when the car was cold, and it only happened around partial throttle, which, I mean, I'm not flooring my car when it's cold, but, you know, when I was first driving the car, it would break up a little bit and have some issues, and then as the engine warmed up, the issue went away. So what I did was I ran a log. When I was leaving work one day, I basically connected to my car and started running a log as I was pulling out of the parking lot and like driving down the road headed towards, you know, the highway to go home. So if we look here, this is very different from my previous log because at most I'm running, you know, 20% throttle, right? Like I'm barely pushing the pedal. I'm just cruising around town. This is me kind of shifting through the gears and just driving down the road. And that's all I was logging. Now, while I was doing that, I was able to notice that my AFRs were very wonky. So you can see in a lot of scenarios where I'm not pushing the pedal, AFRs get really high. That's completely normal because when you're not driving your car, basically when you're off the pedal, a lot of times the car will shut off fuel to save energy or save fuel. So it's not spraying any injectors. Everything's just kind of free rolling. So this super high AFR here is normal. And I know some of you guys have asked me about that too. Oh, why is my car going so lean? If you're not on throttle, it's very normal for AFRs to get sky high. However, if we look at this section, we can see there's some pretty heavy oscillations where AFRs are kind of struggling to keep up. You can see it goes from 14 to over 15, and it's just kind of bouncing back and forth. I also looked at my fuel trims, and you can see again, it's going from 12 to 4%, down to 12%, up to 2%. Here it's a little over 0. So just very wonky fueling that's throwing everything off. Because of this, I basically identified that my O2 sensor was probably going bad. And I know this because it's happened before. This is something that is a little more common with top mount turbo kits, but that was how I figured out my issue. So again, you can see here, I'm not flooring it. I don't have to do a full throttle pull, put any extra risk on my engine. When you're having an issue, you want to log the scenario where you're having your issue, whether it's a full throttle pull, a rough idle, whatever the case may be. Run a log in that scenario, and that's going to give you the best opportunity to identify what's causing the issue. Once I replaced my O2 sensor, problem went away, and the car was back to running like normal. So that's just a little bit of a tip for you guys. If you're going to run a log, make sure you're running it in the scenario that you're trying to test. Most times you want to go full throttle, but not always. Now, the next log was sent by one of you guys, and you sent this to me because you said that your car was feeling slow and you weren't really sure what was going on. So this is usually where my first inclination is to check out boost and timing. So he did a full throttle log. Again, we open up the accelerator pedal to see where he floored it, filter out any noise for stuff that we don't want to see. And then we're going to add boost and timing. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, timing is all over the place. He did mention that this was pump gas, so it's not that crazy. I mean, I've seen this a lot, especially if you're running a 93 octane off-the-shelf map. Most of us don't tend to have fuel good enough for it. But thankfully, as he got towards red line, you can see that timing started getting closer and a lot more consistent. So this could have also been just his car dialing in after he just filled up with fresh gas or something like that. So overall, timing isn't ideal, but I don't think that would be the cause for him to be going significantly slower. So now we're looking at boost, and you can see target boost is around 14 PSI, and the car never gets over 12. In some scenarios down low, it's even barely getting over 10. So to me, that was indicating that there might be an issue with boost. Maybe his turbo is having a problem. Let's go ahead and look at wastegate duty cycle to see what that's doing. So if we find it, www, this is the only thing going back and forth between logs. I can never find parameters easily. All right, this is also another problem because the scales are so different. You can see how it kind of flattens out this lower data set for the boost. So if you have something that's super high, usually rail pressure or something like that, you can just click on it and it'll create a new scale just for that, so it doesn't hide the rest of the data. So pro tip right there. But anyway, you can see that the car is literally pegged at 99% wastegate duty cycle and still not making the boost that it's trying to make. And so that was when I told him there's definitely a boost leak somewhere. So for those that don't know, wastegate duty cycle is kind of an indication of how hard your turbo is working. The higher the number, the harder the turbo is working. It can't get higher than 100%. That means the wastegate is shut and the turbo is making as much boost as possible. Usually when you hit your boost target, it'll drop a little bit and stay steady somewhere around, for most tunes, maybe like 80 to 90%. And that will help keep boost under control at a safe pressure. But in this case, the wastegate's completely shut. It's making as much boost as possible, and the car can't make over 11 PSI. So definitely time for a smoke test, to try to diagnose your intake system. Maybe you have a crack in your intake manifold, or maybe a leak at one of your silicone couplers. Something is causing air to come out from your intake path before it gets into your engine. So easy way to identify a boost leak. But yeah, hopefully this helps you guys out. If you were trying to understand more about reviewing data logs and how to understand them on your car, let me know if you guys need any more help. Again, you can message me on any of my social media channels. If you need emergency help, check out the Patreon. Link is in the video description, and that'll be the easiest way to get with me ASAP. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.